Hey up everyone, welcome to the Rugby League History channel. Today I'll be doing another retro season review. It's part of the retro season review series. I've done quite a few retro season reviews, go check them out as a playlist. But tonight it's going to be Balmain Tigers 1999 NRL season. This were the club's 92nd season in the top grade of Australian Rugby League, and in this last season that they played in the NRL, they finished 15th on the table. The side was coached by Balmain legend Wayne Pearce, captained by Darren Centre. The biggest home crowd for the year was 15,230 against Parramatta. The average home crowd was 9,710. Joel Kane was the top point scorer with 92 points, and Chris Markham scored 9 tries to be the top try scorer for Balmain in the 99 season. Going into the 99 season, Balmain had only qualified for the finals once since 1989 when they suffered that heartbreaking grand final loss to Canberra. That came in 1990. Besides that, for the rest of the decade, the club struggled on the field. They weren't cellar dwellers, but they weren't finals bound either. They were kind of middle of the road, finishing between 10th and 15th in most of the decade. Of course, in 1994 they had that disastrous year with it was on the back of Alan Jones being the head coach. Wayne Pearce had taken over, and unfortunately for Balmain, they come last for only the 4th time in their history. To start the 99 season, the club got off to the worst possible start. They were thrashed 44-0 by Cronulla at Shark Park. However, the club bounced back. In the next 7 matches, they won 5 of them to see themselves sitting 7th on the table. Unfortunately for Balmain, though, they were unable to keep up with the good form, and in the next 11 matches, they only won 2 of them. And by round 20, they sat 14th on the table after they lost 38 points to 6 against St George. The final 6 rounds of the year were pretty nasty for Balmain. However, in round 21, they did record an upset victory over Newcastle, winning 20 points to 16. But to close out the year, the club lost in round 23 against Manly 44 points to 14. And also in round 25, they lost 44 points to 24 against Canterbury. In amongst all that, the club played their final game as Balmain at Leichhardt Oval, where 15,230 people attended to watch Balmain pull off an upset, a massive upset. At the time, they beat Parramatta 20 points to 10. Parramatta went on to go finish 2nd on the NRL table for 1999, and they ended up reaching a preliminary final. So that were a big result for Balmain in their final ever match at Leichhardt Oval as a standalone club. In round 26 of the NRL season, Balmain played their final ever game as a standalone entity, and it was against Canberra, a club that has been a thorn in the side of Balmain in the last 10 years of their existence as a standalone entity. And going forward as the West Tigers, there just seems to be something about Canberra and Balmain, or West Tigers. And in this game, Balmain lost 42 points to 14. The try scorers for Balmain in their last ever match were Lalua Milford and Darren Centre, and Joe Kane kicked 3 goals from 3 attempts. No doubt throughout the year, the club and the players would have been distracted by the NRL with the criteria, the rationalisation policy. The number of clubs had to be cut down to 14 for the 2000 NRL season. Balmain did pass the criteria. They did finish higher than some other clubs, but they were told by the NRL that long term they might not survive financially or competitively on the field. So Balmain started major talks with some clubs. The first one with Parramatta. It's very well documented what happened there, with Dennis Fitzgerald, the CEO of Parramatta, saying that he weren't interested in Balmain as a club at all. He just wanted the Tigers moniker. He wanted to rename the club Parramatta Tigers. So Balmain saw that as a more of a hostile takeover than a 50-50 merger. There was rumours I read that they had talks with North Sydney. Don't know if that's true or not. But in the end, the members voted to merge with other foundation club, Western Suburbs, to form the West Tigers ahead of the 2000 NRL season. At the time of exiting the NRL competition, Balmain were the 3rd equal most successful club in New South Wales Rugby League / NRL history. The club had won 11 premierships, and at the time they had the same amount of premierships as Eastern Suburbs, or as we know them now to be Sydney Roosters. They had 11 premierships as well. Of course, with Balmain not being there, East now have 15 premierships, so Balmain are the fourth most successful club in NRL New South Wales Rugby League history. But that just goes to show how successful the club were, considering that they haven't been in the NRL for, it's going to be 24 years next year that they haven't been in the NRL, and the fact that they're still the fourth most successful club in terms of premierships, and the likes of Canterbury and Manly and some other clubs behind them haven't managed to catch them. So it just goes to show how successful they were as a club, especially in the early days. If I was to look back on their year and look at some matches where I thought that they played very well, round 2 against Melbourne, who ended up winning the premiership that year, they beat them 16 points to 6. Also in round 21, beat Newcastle 20 points to 16. That was a team that consisted of the likes of Andrew Johns and some of the other players that are some of the best ever to play for Newcastle. And of course, round 24, their last ever game as a standalone entity, beating Parramatta, who finished second that year, 20 points to 10 at Leichhardt. That's probably one of the best wins of the year for them. If you look at some of their worst losses of the year, you can pretty much take your pick from a few. Round 1 against Cronulla, losing 44-0. In round 13, the club suffered their third highest loss in their history. They were beaten 64-12 by North Sydney at North Sydney Oval. They also lost 42-10 against Brisbane, 44-14 against Manly, 44 points to 24 against Canterbury. There was a couple of times throughout the year where they were beaten by 30 or 40 points. It wasn't particularly a good year for Balmain, and as I mentioned beforehand, with the off-field distractions, the rationalisation, obviously that would have been weighing heavily on the players' heads because their futures were uncertain. They didn't know what was going to happen. So for them, obviously that would have been a major distraction, because I imagine if I were playing, that would be a massive distraction on top of everything else. At the end of 99 as well, a lot of the Balmain players that were part of the squad were not offered contracts to play for the new West Tigers club. But in that inaugural side that played against Brisbane in round 1 at Campbelltown Sports Stadium, 10 of the 17 players on the field were from the Balmain side of the merger that were kept on from 1999. So that has been my review for the 99 season for Balmain. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know which retro season that you'd like me to do next. There's plenty to choose from. Just put your suggestions in the comment section below, and I'll get down to researching and doing those videos. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. This has been Rugby League History, and I'll catch you all later in the next one. Alright, tatty bye for now.